All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Healy for Beginners and Beyond for Thursday, November 17th, 2022. I'm your host for this afternoon. I'm Jake Barron, Head of Operations for the Americas, and I have my amazing co-host, product expert, engineer, board member, all and plus much more, Ken Close here on the call. And we are going to take you through a lot of very important topics for anyone that's getting started with Healy, or is anyone that needs a refresher or just has never heard of some of the tips and things that we're going to share on today's call. So we're going to start with a quick unboxing. We'll go through that, and then we're going to move right into how to do a first-time setup of the new Healy app. So no longer the Healy Pink Dot app. We're going straight into the new Healy app, or the MagHealy app, which is also called. Then we're going to show how to get set up quickly on the Analyze app, also known as the Blue Dot app. And then we're going to move over to the HealAdvisor app, which some people refer to as the Wave, because of the icon that you can see here for the app itself. We're going to, again, go a little bit into that, show you how to get set up, how to do a quick search on there. And then some of the other getting started tips and resources, everything from Healy Academy to our Healy World Americas page on YouTube, which is where all of these recorded calls are posted. And then also we have a new help center that we just launched a couple of weeks ago. We're going to show you that. And then we're also going to kind of show you how to use the support center, how to submit a ticket, what to look out for there. And then we're going to go to, again, a couple of reminders, some of the resources. Tech Tip Tuesday is a call that Ken Close and I do pretty much every Tuesday, unless there's something crazy comes up. But we're going to kind of tell you the importance of being able to tune into that call, or at least being able to watch the recording, because we share a ton of great tips on that call as well. So we are going to go ahead and get started with the unboxing. So I'll stop sharing here. We'll move right over to that. Okay, so it's actually been a while since we've done a fresh unboxing of the Healy, right, Ken? It's been a little bit. We've been focusing on a lot of the newer apps and things on this call. And again, this call is a little bit of a different format from Tech Tip Tuesday, which is an open chat-based question Q&A kind of call, where you put your questions in the chat, we answer them live on the air. This one follows in general, more of a sort of a focused agenda that we have here, but also please feel free to put your questions in the chat. We have someone from our tech support team that's going to help out in the chat today. Christian, who helped out on Tech Tip Tuesday 2 days ago, is also on the call today. So again, feel free to put your questions in the chat as we're going through some of these topics. If anything comes up, we'll be able to help you out there as well. So let's go right into the unboxing. So I have here a Healy, freshly shrink wrapped from the factory in Germany. So again, most people, when they start their journey with Healy, they start with Healy device, whether it's a Gold, a Holistic, a Resident Plus, a Professional, and all of them come in this same box here. The difference is in the software, not necessarily the hardware here. So this is the Healy box, and then the first thing you're gonna do is just take that shrink wrap off. I tore this off a little bit earlier, so I'm just going to remove the shrink wrap, and then you'll see here there's a couple things to point out on the outside of the box. So we have on one side here, we have there's a QR code, and there's also a serial number, and it has some manufacturing date, and then there's a manufacturing date, and also a date related to the adhesive electrodes. You see there's it's essentially a best by date on those adhesive electrodes. So that's one thing that some people have had questions on in the past. And again, on the short side here, again, same thing, there's a QR code along with that serial number as well. And then other than that, though, the bottom is plain. And you'll notice when you get your Healy in the box, there's a packing slip that actually is almost this exact size here. So a lot of times we tell people it's actually I have one over here. So this is the packing slip. It has your order information on there. It's kind of good to keep it handy of when you bought the device, what you purchased and everything. You can just peel off the backing there and stick it to the bottom of this box. And then when you go to put this away, you always have your order information on there as well. So it's kind of a little handy thing to have there. And then other than that, you're just going to want to take the cover off of the box. And then the first thing you'll see here, there's a quick start guide. And it's a very short 3 or 4 page guide. It just goes through some of the basics, what comes with it, the components, some of what the lights mean, if they're blinking, what the different indicators there. So it just takes a minute or two, read through that. And then underneath that, there's a larger instructions for use document. So this one is more detailed. It has a lot of information about things to look out for, intended use, indications, contraindications, descriptions, as well as how to kind of get started with your device. So again, this is something you definitely want to read through the first time that you get started with Healy, and it's a little bit longer than the quick start, but it's still quick start, just not quite as quick as that other one there. And then underneath those two, you'll see the actual Healy device itself. So this is the Healy. Very simple. It just is put into this little insert there. You just pop that right out, and then this is the device. So again, on the front here, you'll see there's a power button in the middle. There's only one button on the Healy. That's the power button. You push that to turn it on. To get started, you hold it down for about a second. And then there's 2 lights on the front. On this side here, they say there's a Bluetooth light that will blink blue when the Bluetooth connection with your smart device is active. And then there's a power light on the other side. And this light has different indications. So when you first plug in your Healy to charge, it's going to stay solid, but kind of like a very faintly pulsating green light as it's charging. And then once it's fully charged, that green light will go off. So the first time you use your Healy, you're going to want to plug it in and let it fully charge until that green light goes off. That's a key point here, especially when it's new. You need to properly calibrate the battery of the Healy, go through at least 2 or 3 full charging cycles for that battery indicator within your app to have a more accurate display of the true battery life of the Healy. And then underneath here, or on this bottom part, we have on one side, we have a micro USB port. So that's where the charging cable connects to. And we will show that here in a minute. And then the other side, we have the 2 ports where the connection cables go. So these are, again, these are in the box too. We'll show that in a minute, where those plug in right there. And then on the back here, we have a clip. This is it's a metal clip here on the newest version of the Healy. It's a very sturdy device. And then you can also, you'll see at the very top here, there's a little hole in the top of the clip, and you can actually put a lanyard clip on there if you want. So if you have one of these sort of standard lanyards that a lot of people have that are kind of narrow, a narrow attachment there, this can actually just clip right through there, and then you can wear it around your neck if you don't want to use the clip. Depending on what situation you're in, if you want to be able to take it off quicker, if you're wearing a really thick sweater or something like that, where the clip won't, is not, you don't want to put too much force on that clip. Even though it is metal, you don't want to bend it 90 degrees or anything like that. So, but again, on the back, there's some of the similar information that was on the box as far as the serial number, the QR code, there's some manufacturing information, certification icons and things like that. And yeah, as far as that goes on the device, that's pretty much it. And then the rest of the accessories are actually underneath. So if you take off this tray underneath here, you'll see, first thing you're going to want to do is get out this micro USB charging cable. So again, we showed the port that plugs into. So on one end is a USB-A, and on the other end is a micro USB. So the big thing to keep in mind when you're doing this is a micro USB has to be plugged in a certain orientation. So it's not reversible. So you'll see one side is bigger than the other where you're plugging this in. So you're going to want to line that up, make sure the right side is there, and then this snaps in there, pretty secure fit. And then the other end plugs into pretty much any USB charging block that you would have on hand at your house. Most people have too many USB charging blocks laying around the house, whether it's a hub or a single one that you use for your cell phone. But make sure and go ahead and plug that into a good quality charging block. Don't plug it into your laptop to charge it the first time, especially when you're calibrating the battery after the first few charge cycles there. And again, if you ever lose this cable is not proprietary to Healy. If you want to get a longer cable, that's certainly fine too. You can get, these are very, very inexpensive cables that you can get on Amazon in any type of length you want, 3 feet, 6 feet, whatever the case may be. So, and if you ever damage it or lose it or anything like that, don't worry. You don't need to, submit a support ticket and ask for a replacement. Just go spend a couple dollars at pretty much any store sells these cables these days. So, and then under there, we have the connection cables. So these are the 2 cables that plug into those connection cable ports that we showed earlier. So on the Healy device opposite the micro USB, you can plug those in. One goes in each. Make sure that they're pretty snug fit. So make sure that those are plugged all the way in, or else you're going to get you're not going to get good connectivity. And when you're using the Healy Pink Dot app, sorry, not the Pink, the new Healy app, you're going to want to make sure that those are fully in there to make sure that everything's working properly, or else you'll get an error message, which we'll discuss here in a little bit. And then the other end of these cables are just a snap. So these snap onto either the wristbands that I'm wearing right here, or the adhesive electrodes, which are the last thing that are actually in the box. So within here, every Healy comes with 2 pairs of these adhesive electrodes. So again, these are very simple to use, not much to explain here, but they're adhesive, so they're sticky, so they're on this little clear plastic film, so they don't get stuck to anything while they're being transported. Then you just snap that onto there, snap the other one onto the other one. Then you place, if you're using a program where you're using the calls for the adhesive electrodes, you place them where it indicates on the program itself, and we'll show that here in a couple minutes as well. So that's the main part there. And again, you'll see there was no wristbands inside of this actual box. Okay, but I'm wearing the wristbands. How did Jake get those wristbands? So those come with your Healy, but they don't come inside of the Healy packaging. They're actually separate. So when you open your box, make sure that you look for this little bag here. There's a pair of wristbands in there, silicone wristbands, and you're gonna want to go ahead and make sure you take those out. It happens occasionally that someone says, "Hey, I didn't get my wristbands," but it turned out either threw them away with the box, or they were, they couldn't find them in the fill paper or whatever that was in there. So just make sure you take everything out of the box the first time you get your Healy, so you don't accidentally throw anything away. But again, you can use the adhesive electrodes or the wristband here. And yeah, so one other thing, actually 2 other things. Starting next week, probably right before Thanksgiving, every order as well is going to come with this little card that we had made. It's on one side is a thank you card, but on the other side, it's a how to get connected. So if you need help getting started, want to get connected to our Healy World community here in the Americas, we have this little card. It tells you where to go. We have a link to take you, a QR code to take you directly to Tech Tip Tuesday. There's a QR code to go directly to What's Up Wednesday. And then this last one here actually will show you all our social media sites. So if you scan this, it'll pull up another page that'll show you how to join our Facebook page, Instagram page, how to get to our Healy World Americas page on YouTube. There's a link directly to Healy Academy here as well. So again, this is something where you're going to want to, don't throw this away. It comes in every single order that we ship starting next week. We'll have this in there, but put it by your computer, put it by your office, put it where you kind of are reminded that if you ever need help, need support, want to join any of our live calls like this one, this is where you can kind of just get a quick reminder of how to get to all of that. And then last thing I just want to mention as far as the unboxing goes, most people, well over half over 50% of people that purchase a Healy also purchase a coil to go along with it. So there's not much to do as far as the unboxing for the coil. It's a very simple device, but again, it comes in this small little box, and then on one side there's a QR code with that serial number there, and then inside all there is essentially this device. So this little device, and we'll talk about this again in a little bit, but if you're using the Healy app, using any of the individualized microcurrent frequency programs, you can actually use this coil in place of the cables. It's a different way of using the Healy. It doesn't replace microcurrent, but it's a different way to still get benefit from the Healy, and a little bit more convenient if you're on the go, don't want to have cables attached to your arm, something like that. It's basically, instead of just plugging in the connection cables, you just take your coil, and then these two prongs here, you line those up with the connection cable ports. You slide the coil underneath the clip. So this goes right underneath there, and then this kind of snaps into place there, and then you're good to go. And then you can just clip that to your shirt pocket, whatever the case may be there. So Ken, anything on the unboxing before we move on to actually downloading the apps and going right into the use?
Yeah, you did an awesome job. I know that a lot of people take their owner's manuals, instructions books, and they stick them in a drawer and like, okay, I'm just going to figure this out on my own. Some people actually read them, which is important. I mean, I'm guilty of not, but in that owner's manual, one thing I want to bring attention to is some of the safe temperature ranges that we don't really realize that Healy was built to operate within. Because some of you guys might be in a tropical climate, a warm climate, and if you leave your Healy in the car on a hot summer day, just like a pet, I mean, it gets to well over 100 degrees in a car, and I don't recommend. In fact, the Healy has a maximum operating temperature, and it's in your owner's manual. It's in your owner's manual. It has a maximum operating temperature of 104 degrees Fahrenheit or 70 degrees Celsius. Or I mean, 40 degrees Celsius. And this is important to understand because it can actually cause damage, and it has a minimum threshold of temperature. So I'm in the winter climate right now, and so it gets below freezing. So the lowest temperature that we want to have our Healy in is 41 degrees Fahrenheit or 5 degrees Celsius. Again, I don't leave my Healy anywhere. So I highly recommend taking a look at your owner's manual. It gives some very distinct information in there. And Jake talked about charging your device for the first time. And there's a reason you don't connect it to your laptop because the minimum charge amperage for the Healy is 500 milliamps, and that's the minimum. And so some of the outputs, and now when I say milliamps, this is the amount of output amperage that a charger applies to whatever's being plugged into. And the voltage, as long as you're plugged into the micro USB or a USB port, it's going to be within the proper range of Healy being charged, but it's the amperage that determines how long it takes for it to charge. So when it's at that minimum amperage, say 500 milliamps, it may take longer than what it's talking about in the owner's manual, 60 to 90 minutes. But you can plug it into a much higher amperage charging unit. And the little devices that plug into the wall, the adapter, the box, or even the wall outlet yourself that you're plugging the USB cord into, should have a max output number. And Healy can easily handle 2,500 milliamps, 3,000 milliamps to charge it. So you don't have to worry, and it's going to charge quicker. And I recommend you take a look at what you're using to charge your device with. Like Jake said, the cords are pretty much universal. So are the charging boxes. If you don't like that little short cord that comes with it in the box, and you get yourself a longer one. But I recommend trying out some of the different charging boxes, and you'll see what these adapters do in terms of charging. So there's a couple of things I wanted to bring attention to when it comes to maintaining and taking care of your Healy in a good way.
Yep. Thanks, Ken. All right. Yeah. So before I start sharing the screen on my phone, I want to show you something that you can do for that couple hours when your Healy's charging for the first time. So we have these great new videos on our Healy Academy. So let me swap over to that. So, okay. So this is Healy Academy. You just go to academy.healy.world. And the first time you go here, it's going to ask you to sign in. And when you sign in, it's one login for all Healy apps, all Healy sites. So the same ID and password or username, email, whatever, that you log into Shop, back office, to the Analyze app, to the HealAdvisor app. You use that same login information to get into Healy Academy. So you type that in, click login, and then this is going to take you. You'll see at the top, there's a menu of all the different sections. So the Healy, there's a MagHealy section, Watch, Advisor, and there's some great videos in there. But specifically, when you're first getting started with Healy, everybody should go to just the main Healy section. And all these videos are new within the past month or so. specifically for the new Healy app. So everything from a guide to your device, what comes with it, what that means, installing, connecting, running the programs, the expert area, info, and troubleshooting too, especially the troubleshooting, because so a lot of times you might run into issues with something in your environment, whether your Wi-Fi or your Bluetooth, and you want to know, what do I do in this situation? Something like that comes up. But these videos are they're very well done, very easy to follow. So definitely, if you're new to Healy, or if you've been with Healy and haven't seen these new videos, check these out because they're very well done. And this is kind of going to be the guide for how we do a lot of these videos going forward in the future, as far as a revamp to the whole Healy Academy. Okay. All right, let me stop sharing there. And now I'm going to switch over to my phone, and we're going to go straight into, if you just got your Healy and you want to go ahead and get started with the regular Healy app. So I'm going to share my screen, my phone. Okay, just another 2 seconds here. Okay, so I'm using an iPhone, so I'm going to go over to the App Store. You'll see I have that up here. And we're going to, you see, I just go to the App Store, type in Healy App, and you'll see our whole family of apps here. We have all 5 listed here. We have the top one, which is the Healy App, which is the older version. It's the Healy Pink Dot app, which everybody refers to. I referred to it earlier on this call because I'm so used to saying the Healy Pink Dot app, but the new Healy app, which you'll see listed here on the screen as the MagHealy app, can actually be used for both the MagHealy and the Healy device. And that is the app that both the Healy device is going to be used only on that app in the future at some point. So if you're brand new, there's no reason really to go into the current Healy Pink Dot app. Start with what's going to be used going forward from now on. So it was this app, and which we'll show you, was optimized first for the MagHealy, which came out this summer. And now we're in the final stages of optimizing it for the Healy device. But it's a great app. It's a big improvement over the current one that we have. And this is the platform that we're going to be using going forward in the future. So that's the one that we're going to focus on today. And that's all of our new resources are all focused on this new Healy app. So, and you'll see here the HealAdvisor, the Blue Dot app, which everyone refers it to, the Wave app, and then the Watch app too, all the way down at the bottom. So I already have these downloaded on my phone. So excuse me, I'm not going to go ahead, I don't need to download them, but I'm just going to go ahead and open it. So you'll see here, if it's already downloaded there, you can just open it from there. If you want to click on it, not click on open, but just click on the app, you'll see here, it'll tell you the most recent version 1.0.9 was updated 2 weeks ago. And it has a couple of the different version history. It got some screenshots as well. So we're just going to go ahead and open it and get right into it. But before I do that, when you always want to, this is the key point here, before you open the app that you're wanting to use, to turn your Healy device on. So again, there's only one button on the Healy. So if I want to turn this on, I'm just going to push this button in the middle for a second, and then you'll see the green light starts to flash. It might be a little bit hard to see here, but it flashes. And then as soon as that's on, you can just click open on your phone here. And then the first thing, it's going to ask you to read through the privacy policy, terms and conditions. And you just go ahead and read through those and click continue. And it says, let's search for a device that we can connect to. Make sure you have Bluetooth on your device. So that's important. If for some reason you have your Bluetooth off, for some other reason, maybe a different device, you wanted to have it off, or a different reason in your house to have that off, make sure it's on, because that's how the Healy device communicates with the app on your smart device. So we're going to click search for device. That's going to ask here if it has permission to use Bluetooth, and we're going to click OK. And then it's going to search. And then I actually deleted this app earlier. So this is a fresh sort of install for me on my phone, and it's going to say ready to connect. So it's found that there's a Healy that I'm ready to connect to. The Healy is on. You see there's a couple of MagHealy, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, but we're just going to click Healy 1, click connect, and then it's going to say scan completed. It found the device. Well, it needs to scan the QR code. So we're going to click scan QR code. And when you do that, that's going to ask for permission to access the camera. So we're going to go ahead and click OK. And then we're just going to hold this up. Okay, it scanned it real quick and click connect. And then it's just going to take a couple seconds here. And then you'll see a check mark appear over the middle of the Healy device. And then it's going to go right in here, the main page here, click continue. And the first time you get into your Healy app, it's going to ask you to download an update. So it has never been installed or used on this smart device before because I deleted the app. And it's going to ask you, essentially at this point, it's going to check with the cloud to pull down the programs that are available on your edition, whether it's Gold, Resonance, Professional, any other subscriptions and things that you might have on your account. It's going to check and it's going to load those onto your device. So you can click update now from this main screen, but if for some reason, let's say that update now isn't there, you can also go to the settings and then MagHealy, and you'll see here, there's a bit of information. Your serial numbers here, the firmware, the Bluetooth number, the program version, and you'll see next to the program version, it says update. So you can do it from the main screen or you can do it from this section here. So I'm going to go back to the main screen to do that. And then we're going to come back to this one in a little bit. We're just going to go back, click update now. It's going to take a couple seconds, pull this information down, and then it's going to see I have all the programs that are available now. So I have every program available on this device. So there's a long list. If you have one of the lower editions, you won't see as many here, but you can always upgrade and add over time. But now if I go back to the settings and go to MagHealy, you'll see under the program version, there used to be a pink circle that said update. Now it's just there's an arrow pointing to the right. So if you want to manually check for an update, say someone from our support team said, hey, there's an update available on your device, please check for updates. Or say for some reason it's not showing there, you can actually click this arrow and it'll check real quick to see the circle start spinning. I don't have any updates because I just updated it, but that's the process to do a manual update if you need to. But again, back to here. So all the programs are here. There's an expert area. If you're just getting new to Healy, you probably aren't going to have any programs in here yet. But if you ever want to get a custom program made by a time waiver practitioner, this is the section here of how you would do that. And again, that place on Healy Academy, that page there that I showed, those getting started videos for the Healy app, there's a video just on the expert area. So check that out. But so if you click on this, I actually do have one custom program on here, so you'll see that listed. But if you don't, there's a way to generate a number which you then give to your time waiver practitioner, which then links the program they're sending to your device. That's how it gets added to your device there. Info Center, we have a news section. There's a link to Healy Academy within the app. So what we just showed on my computer, you can also get to it from your phone here, and then the guide. So this is actually really important. I would say one of the most important things when you're first getting started with Healy is to check out the actual guide, because there is a ton of information. This is, I think it's 40 something pages, but how many times on Tech Tip Tuesday do we get a question of, well, what is this program for? Or what is this program for? Or what's the reason for this program group in general? What's the reason for natural cycle? What's the reason for power of three? And you go through here and it has details. Some programs have more details than others, but it'll kind of tell you a little bit about each program, and then also the technology, the duration that each program runs, and also the frequency that you up to that it can run that per day. So again, it has a ton of information. Everyone should definitely read through this. And if you've been with Healy for a while and haven't gone through this, as new modules are added, new programs, this guide is updated as well. So it's worth checking out. Again, a whole section here on the chakras. So it's, again, very, very useful. Go ahead and go through that. There's an instructions for use document built into this app as well. And this is a little bit more detailed than the guide that's in here, or actually the same as the guide that's in there, but and then the help center. So you can actually go straight to our FAQ page and get support. You can type in a question here. Then you can either type in a question and it'll pull up questions that have that in the heading or within the answer itself, or you can just pick through one of these categories here. So there's a ton of useful information within just the info center on the app itself. And then if you go to settings, as we showed earlier, you can go to the MagHealy section, or you can change the language. It's available in many, many different languages here. And then in the other section, so the sound defaults to on. So at the end of the program, it'll play this little couple-second song. Some people love the song, other people have heard it too many times, so they get a little too many times. But you can turn that off if you want to. Notifications are set by default to off. If you want to see how that looks, you can enable the notifications, and it'll kind of show you every time the frequency changes. There'll be a little pop-up at the top there as well. Or if you lose conductivity or something like that, it'll show that. But I'm going to turn my sound off. And yeah, this is from the main section here. And then if you click the icon at the top right, so this icon here pulls up the battery percentage. So you'll see here, mine showing 88%, and then also has my serial number. And this is where, if you want to turn your Bluetooth chip on or off. So right now you wouldn't want to turn it off, but once you've started running a program, you no longer need that Bluetooth connection. If you have the intensity set where you want it, you can actually just go ahead and turn off the Bluetooth connection, and that program will continue to run until it goes through the entire duration there. So let's just take a couple minutes. We'll just go into the gold section here. The gold section is also definitely the recommended place that we have people get started. It's the core programs, and these programs come with, of course, the gold edition, which is the first edition that we have here at Healy. But these programs are very powerful, and it's a great place to get started and get familiar with microcurrent and how these programs interact with your body, because everybody has a different. Some people are very sensitive to microcurrent, other people not so much. But let's just, for now, we're just going to go into the gold cycle. We're going to click the pure program, and here it tells you the maximum program duration. That doesn't mean it's going to run for 52 minutes. So that's the most it will run. But as you go through and you see that as the program's analyzing everything and say, okay, this person doesn't need all these frequencies, or you're resonating with a lot of these frequencies already, it can actually go through this quicker than 52 minutes. So you might see it be a couple minutes less than this as the overall duration. And then if you want to, just go ahead and click start. It's going to just take 10 seconds or so, depending on the program. So this is loading all the program information, potential frequencies into here. Other programs, depending on how many frequencies they have in their pool, they load almost instantly, right, Ken? There's some programs where it's just a single frequency or a handful of frequencies, and you can barely even see this page because it just goes straight into the next one.
Yeah, it's the I guess you might say the complexity or the resources in which each program has or uses to align you with whatever it's doing. Some are very simple and very, very few frequencies it uses. Some are quite elaborate and a lot.
Okay, so here we have the pure program running, and you'll see when it started, there was a little message there. So I'm going to actually, the default here is 15% intensity. I'm actually going to turn this down slightly, see if I can get that message to pop back up. No, I must be well hydrated right now. So I'm actually gonna. So I'm using the wristbands right now with the connection cables. I'm actually gonna disconnect one of these, and let's see what happens to. Okay, you see there that little flowing frequency wave? It stopped, and this message popped up that says a frequency is generated, but no measurable current is flowing. Please increase the intensity first, and then check the electrodes and cables. So, if this were to come up now, but okay, yeah, I know the reason why it's not working. My cable is disconnected here. So as soon as I put this back on, it will likely switch back over to the frequency. But a lot of times you might start this at 15% and you'll get that message. And what you're going to want to do is just increase that intensity a little bit. So say you want to go up, a couple at a time, don't go too much. And in general, the overall recommendation is that you want to increase the intensity to a point where you can feel a little bit of a sensation and then back it down one. Because a lot of people, there's a misconception out there that you need to feel this strong tingling sensation in order for it to be working, but that's not how microcurrent works. It's meant to be kind of undercover, working with your body, not being able to notice it, because that's when it's doing its best, when your mind isn't fighting this different sensation that you're not used to. So Ken, what would you add on to anyone that would say, well, I'm not feeling it, it's not working?
Yeah, I mean, we actually talked about this in length on Tech Tip Tuesday, but to add to this video, I want to make sure everybody understands that the lower the frequency below, say, 500 hertz, 400 hertz, somewhere in there, the lower the frequency, the closer to density, meaning the density or the physical mass of the body, meaning that there may be more need for increased current. In other words, it's harder for it to get through the body, and you may feel those more so. So a couple things to pay attention to: either lower the intensity or raise the intensity, so you can just barely feel it and then shut it off. The higher frequencies up above 1,000 hertz, you'll probably never feel, and no matter how high you have it. But the key thing here is to make sure that you set this device to where you're below the actual feeling threshold, even at the lower frequencies, because it's the moment that the body starts to feel this. The microcurrent is designed to go in subconsciously or behind the scenes, and not to so much get your attention, to feel it, to have it make you become aware of it, and even fearful of it or in pleasure of it. Doesn't matter, either one starts to take away from the effectiveness of what Healy's trying to do. So I say, find some of these lower frequencies, run it up to about a space in which you can feel it, and then back it off a click, in other words, one number. And that's probably the sweet spot.
Yeah, and it's when you're first starting a program, it's always good to monitor it for at least a couple minutes, because maybe that frequency wave is flowing properly, everything's good when you first start, because it's at the higher frequencies, but it might drop down as it's cycling through the different frequencies to a lower frequency. And at that point, it could be that it says that it doesn't have the current flow is insufficient, or they can't measure the current flow. So you want that to not be switching between that error message and the frequency wave. You want to always be flowing. So you want to be at a level that's comfortable, but also to where it's not switching back and forth between bad connection and good connection there too. And after about 10 minutes or so, next to the frequency that you'll see there right now is 219 hertz. There's actually there's that was just a temporary one there. I have it at a pretty low intensity here right now, but there's a progress indicator that will pop up, anywhere between negative 100 to positive 100, and that actually shows essentially how much you need. It's not a bad thing. It's not, okay, this negative 72%, oh, that's horrible. For me, it's saying that's how much you need that frequency, and it's going to cycle through it. It goes every 8-10 seconds. It's going to switch to a different frequency, and then when it comes back around, maybe the first time that it was delivering that frequency, it was at negative 72%. The next time it comes around in a couple minutes, maybe it's now at negative 12%. And then it keeps going until it gets high enough to where your body no longer needs that frequency, and then it kicks it out of the sequence and puts one in its place. So it's kind of neat to watch that as it goes, because you can kind of see the progress that's being made as the program's running. So okay, so I'm actually, Ken, anything to add on this section before I was gonna swap over real quick and kind of just show how to connect to a different device. If you want to just close out of the app, but let the program keep running and connect to something else. But
yeah, one of the things you mentioned was Jake talked about the conductivity and this signal of getting no current flow, even though there's frequencies being applied. And he mentioned something about being hydrated, because that's a key component of the success of this microcurrent getting through the body. Our body is conductive if we're properly hydrated and we're properly mineralized, I guess you might say. So electrolytes are another part that's important. And if we're trying to talk about hydration for just a moment, proper hydration is a standard formula of about half your body weight in ounces of water. Half your body weight in ounces of water. So if you're 100 pounds, that's 50 ounces of water a day. This varies based on physical activity, demographics. If it's really hot, you're sweating, you're doing a lot of activity, that varies, but still that's kind of a baseline. And I always tell folks to go back to their own self-care, this hydration. Of course, check connections first, but then look at how you're hydrating and taking care of yourself. Most people are dehydrated to some form. So I wanted to make sure people were understanding hydration, and our electrolytes are important when we're working with the electron flow, is exactly what we're doing with microcurrent through the body.
Yep. Yeah. So as you were talking there, that percentage that I was talking about popped up. So you'll see here now at this particular frequency, it's saying that progress meter is 27%, 3.9 hertz, negative 69%. So as this comes back around, you'll kind of see the next time that percentage in almost all cases is going to be higher the next time here. So I'm just going to watch this here for a minute. And those are two questions I wanted to answer here. The guide that we showed earlier that has all the different programs, again, the 40+ page guide, you can access it from the app. You'll see there that 3.9 hertz, it was at negative 69%. Now it came to negative 48%, and it'll continue to increase as we go. But that guide is available. It is available in your back office. So you go to log into your back office at my.healy.world, go to the tools section, go to downloads, and you can download a PDF copy of that guide. And so, it's easier to see on a bigger screen a lot of times too. So you can save it, email it, whatever you want from there. So go ahead and do that. So, and also within here, we're demonstrating with the wristbands right now. It doesn't mean we prefer them over the coil. It's completely different. We're using microcurrent right now versus the coil is the quantum potential frequencies. So if you're running this program and you wanted to switch over to the coil, say, hey, I gotta go outside or do something here, and I need complete freedom of these cables, you can just take these cables off. And as soon as I do that, you're going to see that message pop up. And then you can just put the coil in. And then as soon as I do that, you'll see that frequency wave started again. So I can switch between the two if you want. I mean, normally you would run a program, the full program with one and not switch, but this is just kind of for demonstration purposes that you can, as far as how it works. And then the intensity is really, a lot of people, again, there was a message in here. A lot of people say run it at 100%. Some people do 50%. Some people say whatever is best for you. And I think, our message here is whatever is most comfortable for you. Everyone's got a different preference for that. But just know, as long as that frequency wave is flowing, that you are getting a benefit from this, regardless of what the intensity is set at. So just because your friend runs their programs at 100% doesn't mean that you need to either. And then also, we've had some questions pop up recently about where to use the wristbands. Some people have, if their wrists are too skinny or if they're too bony, a lot of people put them up higher up on the arm because there's more skin. They get better contact with their skin, and that's easier to get that proper conductivity there. And then actually, I'm going to go back to the main. I'm going to stop this program here. Actually, we're just going to, at this point, I'm going to quit this program. So as far as which programs you can use with the coil, so you'll see all of these to the top right have an IMF symbol. So that stands for Individualized Microcurrent Frequencies, and that means that you can use the coil with those programs. And the majority of the programs you can, except for pain programs. You notice that none of these have the IMF, those specifically do need the microcurrent. And then also the acute program. So if you go to some of the program groups like learning here, learning systemic, good. You can use the Coil. It uses the individualized microcurrent frequencies. Learning acute, concentration acute, exam acute, stress acute. Those are the ones that you actually need to use the electrodes, either the wristbands or the adhesive electrodes that I showed earlier. And, a lot of these pictures will show, they'll show where to place the electrodes. You see there's just a little image there saying most of the, actually all the learning ones are there. But if you go to say like the pain ones, you'll see here, actually let me do this one here. And then you can put them, it says on the affected area, you'll see that this one's showing on the upper back, but if you knee pain or elbow pain, wherever it might be, then that's where you're going to want to place those electrodes. And there's actually some really good videos in Academy on how to place them and what to look out for as far as not putting them in certain areas around the arteries and the neck or across the heart and things like that. So again, that's another great reason to check out those videos that are available there. Ken, anything that you want to add into here before we switch over to the Analyze app?
Yeah, in terms of positioning of those electrodes, another thing to consider is the condition of the skin in which you're going to place them. Never anywhere where there's irritations, lacerations, open wounds, things like that. You don't want to put those electrodes anywhere on or in right close to you. On either side of it, yes. These electrodes can be placed depending on your conductivity, 6 inches or so apart. And it can actually penetrate all the way through an entire arm or an entire leg. It just depends on your conductivity. So that may vary based on individual. So as far as the distance those electrodes can be placed. There was before we move on, there's another question about how you got this download or you got this update. Can we jump back real quick to where you're at the main screen, and I can show people at the bottom where the settings tab is?
Oh yeah, within here, info settings, and then guide.
So where you would check for updates, go back to your
oh, sorry.
MagHealy. Yep. So you saw he clicked on MagHealy. So that was and then right there next to program version, there's a little arrow there. If you clicked on that arrow, if there was an update, you see little circle spins. If there was an update, it would automatically pull it in. If there is no update, it'll just do that spin and then quit. The only time you're going to see nothing on your screen, like what you saw when Jake first started, was when you first load the app and you're first doing your setup. That's when this update available pops on your screen. You have one little blue line there, which is essentially an empty app. Understand that when you first load these apps on your smart device, they're just a skeletal structure. It's not until you activate it via the serial number of your device or the login credentials of your account, which is what we'll talk about next, that it will populate the app with whatever you've purchased. The software, like Jake said, the hardware is the same, but the software package varies, and that's where these updates come in. Yep. That's it.
Okay. I'm going to move over to the Analyze app here. We're just going to, that one we're not going to spend as much time on today, but we're going to show you how to get started, because there's a different process if you've been with Healy for a while versus someone that's coming in new right now. So I'm going to go ahead and just hard close out of this one, and I'm going to go into, again, as we showed earlier in the App Store. Oh, it changed again. Yeah. So if you search Healy App, you'll see here, the next one we're going to open is the HealAdvisor Analyse App, and this one was last updated a week ago. So again, fairly recent update. We're going to open this one. Again, I deleted this app earlier and reinstalled it, so it's fresh on my phone. And we're just going to go, like to use Bluetooth. Yes. Okay. Release notes, and then click next. And then the first thing you're going to see is I have a Healy. So if you're wanting to use the app for the first time, you're going to definitely want to pick I have a Healy, and then it's going to ask you. You can either start a demo or you can log in. So this the Analyze app has a great feature where you can put it into demo mode. So essentially, if you want to loan it out to somebody and you don't want their information from whatever programs and analysis and scans that they do to be saved into your account, your cloud account. You can put it in demo mode, give it to them. And then when you get it back, you take it out of demo mode, and then all that information is gone. And then it didn't. So this is great whether you want to loan out your device to somebody or if you have an extra device. Maybe you have two devices and you're using one as a demo. It's an excellent feature and actually really easy to use. So I'm going to just go ahead and click login though. And it says, please connect your Healy to register in the cloud account. I'm going to click yes. I'm going to do that. And it's going to scan for Healys. Okay, so this is my device. I'm just going to click on my device here. Okay, so now it's going to ask me to log in. So I'm going to go ahead and put in my login information. Oop, gotta be able to type though. Oh. Okay, and then all right, let's see if I did this right. You're going to check these boxes, click login, and then you'll see here. So this is a process where it's new. In the past, we had a master key, which is actual physical file that was saved onto your smart device, which you needed to access all of your information, all of your saved information. It was unique to your account. No matter how many Healy devices you had one master key. So, but now we've replaced this with it's a much more convenient feature. You don't have to worry about saving your master key or losing your master key. You're actually just going to get it's a two-step verification. You type in your ID and password, then it's going to email a 6-digit code to the email that's on file. So I did that just now. I just checked my email and I have a code here. It comes from your.healy@healy.shop, but I'm going to go ahead and enter that code onto my phone. So, and at this point, this is actually using this to pull down the information that I have saved in the cloud. So whether you have just your information on your device or you have 100 people, 100 clients, and a bunch of lists on your device, it's going to pull all that information down into that. So you're just going to click sync changes. And this just takes, depending on how much information you have. So this can vary quite a bit. I don't have a ton of information in my Analyze app or big client list or anything like that. So it goes pretty quick. And also not only the amount of information you have, but your connection speed too. So in general, it takes, a minute or so to go through this whole process, but some people it can take quite a bit longer. And we're going to talk about here in a minute, auto sync versus, doing a manual sync as well. So this one here is almost done. So, okay, success, great. So we'll see here, I have the professional edition. So I have the resonance, the coaching analysis, and the aura analysis. And you'll see in the bottom right that gear, well, it was spinning for a minute. You saw that animated gear. That means that it was doing a sync. So we're going to actually go right to that section here. And you'll see this question came up on Tech Tip Tuesday this week. Someone was asking, why is my Healy syncing every time I log in to use it? And by default, if you go to your cloud settings, you'll see automatic sync is checked and list sync is enabled. So if you don't want that to happen, you can just uncheck auto sync, and you can uncheck list sync enabled. If you are concerned about aren't concerned about using mobile data for connection, you can click that. Say your mobile data connection might be faster than your Wi-Fi in certain situations. So you can, that's an option there that you can toggle on and off. And if you want to do a full sync manually, say you have auto sync off, but you added a bunch of information to your Healy and you want to go through it, you can just go into this section here to your cloud settings and click the sync in progress, and it's going to download all this information again to make sure everything's fully synced. So this is important if you want to, let's say you want to add your Healy to another device and you don't have auto sync on. So say you're using it on your iPhone, all your information is in the cloud, you just added a bunch of stuff on here. You want to sync that to the cloud before you go and download the Analyze app and connect to it on your, say, your iPad, because all that information needs to be synced to the cloud so that it can be pulled back down onto the additional smart device that you might want to use there. So, and if you ever have a question, at the beginning here, we showed you could either log in or you could start a demo. If you want to go into demo mode, say you're already logged in and you don't remember how do you get back to that screen, just click log out from within here. So if you go to, again, cloud settings, then next to your email address, click log out. That will allow you then to go and start back into demo mode there. So there's a lot of great information in here. Again, there's different information about the app version that's available through here. There's the same as before with the new Healy app. There's a link directly to the help center within here, which is actually new. This was added just in the last couple of weeks. This as part of the most recent update. Connect to Healy. There's a manual again helpful. This information, the guides, the manuals are also available in back office in the download section too. So if you ever want to, it's helpful to have it here if you're kind of on the go and just want to reference something real quick too. So Ken, what as far as the initial setup of the Analyze app, anything you think else that's important for everyone to know?
For new people, no, this is exactly the process you're going to see. I'm seeing some questions in the background for some folks who are still experiencing the message import master key. There is a possibility that, of course, first of all, making sure that you're using the latest version of the app, and Jake showed you that. I often recommend people open the app from the App Store. That's going to kind of force the newest and latest edition onto your smart device. But if you're still getting that message of import master key, that means you're probably gonna have to do it one more time. So making sure you have your master key, do that one more time. Then your system should convert over to that code system from then on. If you don't have your master key, again, this was an issue that hasn't changed. If you still get that message, it's going to need to be done, or you've got to reset your account. So, yeah, you still
there's always the option, if you lose it and can't log in, you'll still be able to access your device if we have to do a manual reset of your cloud account. So at that point, you would just submit a support ticket through the help center. You can go there, and then from there to support center, put in a ticket and explain the situation. Our tech support team will help out and guide you in the right direction. We do everything we can, of course, to not lose any information, but some cases we might need to do a manual reset there. So
Jake, can you log out one last time there out of your cloud account and and then show them? You'll see. Hopefully, I mean, if you guys are still getting this import master key thing, then of course you're going to have to submit that ticket to reset your account.
Yeah, so I just logged out again. This takes you back to this main section here. I have a Healy login, start a demo, that type of thing.
That first little screen where it said I have a Healy, below that says I'm interested in a Healy. That's going to take you to like the purchasing a Healy. So some people are curious about what that is back there. If you click on the I am interested in a Healy, that takes you to the website. Takes you out.
So I mean, you're gonna be selecting I have a Healy. So we'll go from there. So that's again, this is the Analyze app has a ton of. It's got the resonance analysis. It's got the aura analysis. It's got the coaching module. So you can go hours and hours into each of those. So this is just for this call. We're just doing kind of an initial to how to get it set up, how to log in, and a couple of little things to look for when you first get set up to make sure. So, but again, there's a ton of resources available in Healy Academy, which we showed earlier. There's a whole section just on the HealAdvisor Analyse App. So definitely check that out. It's pretty easy to add new clients and start a scan. Again, read through the manual too. That's very helpful as well. So I'm going to switch over to the HealAdvisor app, which is a very popular one, especially when you're first getting started here. So I'm going to close out of this one, and I'm going to go open the HealAdvisor app. Again, this is same information that you use from the Analyze app. I already logged in. So the first time you log in, you use the same email or username that you did for the Analyze app, and same password too to log into this. It's the same, everything's the same, one login for everything. But this is where it's a lot of people call this the HealAdvisor search app, but it's not. Search is actually a module within the HealAdvisor app. So this is where all of your subscriptions live. So if you have the animal kit, that's this first one up here. If you have the bioenergetic vitalization, digital nutrition, HealAdvisor search, and natural cycle. So for today, just a couple of minutes, we're just going to show a little bit about search, because this is a lot of people ask the question, well, what program should I use for this, or what program would help with this? So I have pain here. What would help with that? And we just tell people just go to search. It'll tell you which programs contain the frequencies that might be able to help you with whatever topic you're looking for. So we're going to go straight. We're going to click on HealAdvisor search, the Healy IMF programs. And the first time you do this, again, I deleted this app earlier, so it's going to ask you about your Healy edition. So again, some people might have multiple Healy editions on their account. So you're going to want to set this up with the one that you're wanting to use the programs for. So, I have pretty much every program here. So I could go in here and select, all these different program groups. And it's going to give me recommendations based on this. So if you don't have, let's say, deep cycle, or you don't have natural cycle, you're not going to want to check that, because it's going to give you a recommendation, could give you a recommendation for a program part of that, and you're not going to be able to run it. So only check the ones that you have, but you just do that, click save settings, and then if you can type in, again, anything that you want into here, and it'll have some things that are kind of pre-populated, but let's just type in stress. Let's see what happens here. So if I type in stress, all right. So and this is saying, as far as what programs, what could be beneficial if you're, want help with some stress. And we got mental balance acute. Okay, that makes sense. Extreme stress, sure. Being, definitely. Relax. Exhaustion, systemic. Concentration, sleep, systemic. Bed rest. So again, you'll see as you go through this, depending on which program you type in, it's going to give you. A lot of times you'll be able to kind of tell just from the name, okay, that makes sense, that goes along with stress or whatever. But sometimes there'll be some programs that might pop up. They're like, well, I would have never thought of that. I mean, right, Ken? There's a lot of times that program might contain some frequencies that you wouldn't realize would help with something. So
a good example of that is if you're looking at a condition of stress, and all of a sudden bed rest shows up, because bed rest, it's within the sleep page, but its purpose is to move you from the sympathetic to parasympathetic nervous system. Why? Well, because if you're stressed out, it's hard to go to sleep, right? Well, it's still a very valuable program for managing stress, but it's not going to make you sleepy. It's just simply moving this nervous system into a point of more calm and relaxation. So yeah.
So this is pretty easy to navigate. You can't break anything here. So just go in here and play around with it. If you want to, you'll see that there's a star next to it. So if I click on that star, it's going to say the program was added to the program pool. So that's essentially the same thing as saving a website to your bookmarks or favorites on a browser. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to click. Okay, that's a favorite of mine. This is a favorite, and let's just say let's do bed rest. Okay, that was added to the program pool. If you want to remove it from the pool, you just click that star again and it takes it out. But anything you click on is going to be added to that program pool. And then at the bottom there, you'll see a programs icon all the way bottom next to the home icon. If you click on that, you'll see my 3 programs that are in my program pool.